What's going on, my good people? Welcome back to Play to Win with More Than a Coach. Mike Holmes here, where I focus on scholarship over emotionalism in every aspect of life. Well, today I'm back with another story of winning ways, and today's story is titled When Sacrifice Does Harm, and it goes as such. The art of selfishness consists in looking after your own needs so that no one else will have to. True unselfishness does not permit you to become a burden tomorrow because you were saintly yesterday, nor does it justify you when, to please yourself, you heap luxuries on others and miscall this indulgence a virtue. Scientific ethics is searching. It goes with nature, and nature in the end finds us out. See how the old ways worked in the lives of Mrs. Farwell and her son. William was going to the dogs. There was no question about it. Since an officer from the juvenile court had come and gone, his mother could not ignore the fact. He made her see, moreover, how she had spoiled her boy. Mrs. Farwell found it a bitter blow. When William's father died, just as the little fellow had his first short trousers, her duty seemed clear to her. He shall not lack anything he would have had if time had lived, she told herself. How she had toiled to make good her vow. And of course, the court officer remarked when he heard the story, he got used to seeing you a slave, laboring that he might play. How did you expect him to learn adaptation or to gain discipline? But shouldn't I have done it? Mrs. Farwell demanded. I didn't want to be selfish. No, you shouldn't have done it. Life is greater than we are, Mrs. Farwell. When sad experience comes to a family, it is not the duty of a parent to play the part of God by standing as a bulwark against the experience. We should share life together and learn to meet it together. You tried to be fake to your boy. He should have had to meet your loss with you. That would have made him a man. Yes, the officer was right. Mrs. Farwell saw it now. She surveyed her bitter toil. William had never felt his father's loss, never gone without anything. One might put this little story into almost any setting. Its principle holds between husband and wives, even when youth is considering duty to its elders. Assuming the role of God in the name of unselfishness causes disaster in the end. I have kept a statistical record of this principle in examining thousands of lives. Some of my data goes back many years. The boys and girls concerned now have their own children. I find few cases of self-sacrifice such as Mrs. Farwell made that did not bring injury to pass. Not only was the law burdened with the problem of William, but Charity was troubled by his mother. Her years of effort weakened her otherwise strong body. Her worry since the boy had reached adolescence had ruined her nerves. The shock of his delinquency upset her glands. She herself has become a responsibility because of her unselfishness. Must we not also consider the constructive service Mrs. Farwell might have been to others, had she not become so absorbed in her offspring's happiness? She was no genius, surely, but once upon a time she had been a good neighbor and a kind friend. Virtues that had disappeared when she concentrated her effort on the comforts of William. The court officer had told her that her true duty was to life, not to her boy, that only by doing her duty to life first and letting her boy share the consequences could she even do her duty to him successfully. Such a doctrine is distinctly against the garbled ethics that have become so general. Our ideals are closer to those of Confucius, and this has been true for centuries. Have you ever studied the Madonnas of the Byzantine artists with their constricted, stiff lines and flat masses? Something of the same semi-oriental perversion of the natural philosophy still cramps our morals and encases the free-flowing power of love in confines of a ghastly utilitarianism. Our conventions make it a virtue to debase ourselves under the weight of external duties, regardless of fitness and power. Mrs. Farwell, after all in her quasi-goodness, had compromised herself from the moment her husband died. Her spoiling of William was a mere ego satisfaction. It made her feel exalted, living at half measure and slaving for him. Like all disobedience of the basic law of selfhood and misapplication of the magic formula, her sacrifice was destined to fail before it began.